Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO. It is your boy Christian Havercardman, and we are coming back at you with another deck profile today. It's been a few days, but hey, we had a lot of stuff going on, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Gold Pride Punk list for the post-Syac format. This deck is looking very interesting. There's a lot that it can do. There is still a lot yet to tweak with it. In terms of ratios, I'm kind of going back and forth on some stuff. And today with the deck profile, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go straight through the card by card for you guys, and then at the end we'll do kind of a brief analysis on why I'm playing the things the way that I am at the ratios that they are. And that'll be pretty brief for the most part, but it should give you a more in-depth discussion so that way you can understand all my choices after just getting all the card by cards. That way people that just want the list can just get the list and go. All right, so let's go ahead and hop in today without any further ado. All right, so starting off with the Punk engine here, the biggest part of the deck is going to be triple copies of Zayamin here, followed up by triple copies of Ogre Dance, and then 3 copies of Foxy Tune. That's all of our triplets for the Punk part of the deck. And next up here, we're going to have 1 Sharakusai, 1 Deer Note, 1 Wagon, and 1 Madam Spider for all the monsters. For the rest of the package here, we have 1 Punk Jam Extreme Session, triple E-Telly, and then 1 Dangerous Gabu. That is it for the Punk part of the engine. Definitely a bit heavier. Let's go ahead and get on to the Gold Pride part of the deck. So for Gold Prides, we're running 2 Captain Carry, 2 Leon, 2 Rollerballer, 1 Nitro Head. For the spells, we have 2 Better Luck Next Time, and 1 The Crowd Goes Wild. And for our only trap, we are playing 1 Start Your Engines. Relatively smaller package. Now let's go and cover the non-engine stuff super quick here. That is going to be 3 Psyframe Gear Gamma, as well as 1 driver. Just have to have the driver with the Psyframe package. Triple Droll and Lockbird, 2 Ash, and then 1 Ghost Ogre for the monsters. Then we have 3 copies of Crossout Designator and 1 Called by the Grave to round off the main deck here. Let's go ahead and get into the extra deck real fast. So for the extra deck, I'm going to make a couple changes here. We currently have 2 Chariot Carry. One of these is going to get swapped out for a Dragite. I'm just waiting for it to show up. And then 1 AA Zeus. For the links, just 1 Lambda is all. For the synchros here, we have a Star Leon, 2 Punk Jam Dragon Drive, 1 Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, 1 Omega, 1 Shen, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! Punk Amazing Dragon, 1 Psychic End Punisher, and then for the fusions here, we and then we'll get into the side really quick. The side is up in the air. All right, for the side deck, we have our 3rd copy of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Lightning Storm, 3 Triple Tactics, and 3 Evenly. Pretty simple for the side deck. So now that you guys have gotten the card by card, we'll go ahead and get set up here and do a quick deck breakdown for you. All right, so just kind of doing a brief overview of stuff. You'll notice that we went way heavier on the Punk package than we did the Gold Pride, and that's because the Punk is actually the main part of your deck. It's your initial combo starter. Once you get the gas rolling, then your Gold Pride is allowing you to kind of carry through and be able to grind a little bit better. It has a bit better follow-up than the Punk engine. But to get to the Gold Pride engine super consistently, you need your Punk engine to go off. So you're kind of maximizing on your opportunities to be able to see the Punk combo. Basically, your ultimate thing is getting Zayamin on board with a Foxy Tune in hand that you can have a card to discard with it. So then that way you can go through your full line of Punk monsters. You only need these in one-ofs because you just search them out and summon them throughout the combo. So then it just kind of builds up your advantage. You're also drawing cards through the Punk engine to be able to get into other parts of your Gold Pride to get extra extenders. Like I said, basically most of your end board is going to be built by the Punks, but then the Gold Pride just assists that and makes it stronger. I was previously playing a heavier Gold Pride engine where you would play more of the Gold Pride monsters and then searchers to be able to use them to lower your life points as well. But there were a lot of cases where I was opening up hands and I was just seeing only like Gold Pride stuff, and I wasn't really seeing enough of my Punk stuff, which is what really gets your plays off the ground here. This deck is also kind of built to be able to play around hand traps however possible. So the biggest hand trap of the format currently is going to be your Droll and Lockbird. which is why I put so many non-engine cards to be able to counter this. But even in Archetype, you have ways to play around it. Since you have things like Emergency Teleport and Foxy Tune, you have ways to be able to play around a Droll if you do get hit with it. It basically just means when you're going through your P.U.N.K combo, you don't worry about going for the Wag-On, the Field Spell, or even sometimes the Madam Spider and the Dangerous Gabu. You just ignore those completely, and you just go for the main line of play and extend into just getting a decent enough end board to be able to survive, and then having follow-up for the crackback. But there's enough answers to Droll in here that I don't think it's really that big of an issue. It's just good to be able to play around it in case you don't see any of those answers. Of course, if you draw just Gold Pride stuff, you can still play since you have better luck next time, which immediately loses you life points. And then if you also have the Crowd Goes Wild, that can get you some life points lost as well. For the Gold Pride, I mean, you're only playing the 2 Captain Carricks, you're only running 1 trap, you only have 7 names in total, and with Start Your Engines, you have to reveal 3. So if you don't have 3 in your deck, then Start Your Engines is dead. So we're playing just enough to not open too many of them and brick up our hand, but enough to be able to go through some in our normal combo and then still have enough in the deck for the Start Your Engines. Leon and Rollerballer honestly being the 2 best here, because Leon will get you a Synchro Summon as well as summoning 1 back from the grave. And then during the end phase, the Leon Synchro Monster can tag out into this guy. If you haven't used this effect to Reborn from the grave that turn, you can do it again, which is kind of nice. That gives you bodies for the follow-up turn. Rollerballer being an extra disruption with the Pinballer Fusion Monster. Having 2 of those is just nice because, I mean, you're getting at least 2 sucks off of a Pinballer. And then during the end phase, it tags back out into a Rollerballer. So if you get another Leon on field as well, for example, then you're also able to keep playing from there. The 1 Nitro Head just comes up in like certain matchups, especially Kashtiro. When you're going first, you can summon a token to their field that they can't link off. So you're kind of setting yourself up for some good stuff there. Otherwise, this engine is like pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, we maxed out as many of the 1 card combos as we can, or well, 1.5 card combos as we can. E-Telly, Ogre Dance, and Foxy Tune will all get your Zayaman out of the deck. Or if you just hard draw the Zayaman, then you can use it to get into any of these other cards to be able to get Sharkusai on the field, which will get your Rising Card Fusion and allow you to go through the rest of your P.U.N.K lines. So as far as the main deck goes, there's kind of the main engine goes, that's kind of the explanation on why I did the ratios. I just wanted to go hard into the P.U.N.K engine to make sure I had plays. So kind of playing it aggressively while still trying to kind of play around stuff. As for the non-engine stuff, the Triple Gamma is one of your answers to be able to deal with stuff like Joel and Lockbird. If nothing else, you can also put a Psyframe Lord Lambda on your end board to still be able to use this guy and get bodies on your opponent's turn as an extra monster negate in hand that's kind of hard for them to deal with unless they somehow like hand rip it. And then the same thing goes with like Triple Crossout and a Called by the Grave. These are extra answers to stuff like Droll and Ash and just problematic cards for us. I definitely think I'm going to at some point start running extra targets in the side deck for my Crossout Designator, like extra hand traps. But for right now, I think this is fine. I mean, we have the board breaker stuff in the side deck as well. So if our opponent's on like evenly matched and we know that we're going to go first, we can side in the evenly matched for the Crossout just to have extra answers to that as well. Like I mentioned with the extra deck, one of those Chariot Carries is going to be pulled out for a Dragite. So that gives you just extra answers for evenly matched if you know your opponent's on it in games 2 and 3. So then for the triple Droll, I mean, once again, just the best hand trap of the format. Also a huge Crossout Designator target for us. I was only playing the 2 Ash because I didn't have the space to play the 3 in the main, and I feel like it's just an okay hand trap this format. Like it can do a little bit to slow your opponent down in combination with the rest of your disruption. So it's just an extra hand trap. I'm considering like Veilers or Ghost Mourners. Only reason I don't want to play Imperm is because you have times where you're drawing on your opponent's turn and you don't want to draw a dead Imperm. So that's always been my theory behind that. If you have a deck that draws on the opponent's turn, you definitely don't want to play Imperm. And then for people who don't know, the reason you're only playing 1 Ghost Ogre is because you're trying to search this off of the P.U.N.K Jam Dragon Drive. So you only need 1 copy of it. It's a solid card this format, especially against like Super Heavy Samurai. It's really good. So there's definitely applications in which the Ghost Ogre comes up, but basically you're just using it to help solidify your going first end board to have an extra disruption in hand that your opponent has to play around. And they have to respect it because they know you have it unless you didn't search it. That's kind of the brief explanation on that. Stuff with the extra deck, once again, we kind of went lighter on the Gold Pride stuff just because we're not playing a whole lot of Gold Pride monsters, and all of the extra deck monsters tag themselves out into their counterparts during the end phase, and then with better luck next time it ends up drawing you an extra card. So playing only 1 of these is fine. I was playing Nitro Blaster for a while, the Link 2. he never came up. There was hardly a time where I could even summon it, and even if I could, I was like, well, there's just better options than doing that. So just playing one of each of these three has been fine, because once again, they're recursive. With the P.U.N.K stuff here, the 2 Jam Dragon Drive is honestly also subject to change. I might only end up playing one of these, because you really only need the P.U.N.Ks for the most part going turn 1, and then you're using your Gold Pride as follow-up. But there are some niche applications where 2 of these can come up, so I haven't fully counted out yet. It's just a matter of with Dragon Drive and Amazing Dragon, like this Dragon Drive can search you the Ogre, which is the disruption, and then you can use the Dragon Drive and a Sharakusai to go into the Amazing Dragon on your opponent's turn for extra disruption. And that Ghost Ogre is also a level 3 Psychic, so if you use it before going into the Amazing Dragon, it's an extra bounce for you, which is just insane. Psychic and Punisher is honestly one of the deck's biggest win conditions. Since you're losing so many life points, you need to be able to close out the game fast, so going into this guy to be able to hit an OTK on your opponent really does help a lot. And I mean, just having an unaffected body is really nice. There are even cases where if you have the right board state, you can actually go into it off of just your Gold Pride stuff. The Omega is just like an extra option to go into if you use your Gamma on your first turns. You'll notice that you actually have quite a few cards that you'll be able to activate without having any monsters on your field that could leave you open to be able to gamma your opponent. Like, for example, of course, E-Telly is a huge one. If you open it, Better Luck Next Time is another one. Of course, Ogre and Foxy Tune are also both chances for you to be able to use your gamma, because you'll probably lead your plays off with these, and if your opponent tries to ash you, or like with Ogre Dance, if they droll on resolution, you can gamma it and not have to worry about it. So I do like that. We just want to give ourselves as many opportunities to get that gamma off as possible, because if we do, then we're not only ripping a card out of our opponent's hand, we can turn the driver and the gamma into an Excel Synchro and then be able to make Barone. So you're getting a card out of your opponent's hand and setting up an Omni-Gate to either insulate your plays or be an extra disruption on your opponent on top of that. The reason I'm playing the Shen Shen in here is it's not too hard to make level 9s in this deck. There's definitely times where it comes up, and just having a macro-like effect is really harmful to a lot of decks, especially stuff like Super Heavy Samurai. This will really hurt. So having that option is really nice to be able to go into, and plus you can just, on your turn, you can banish 2 monsters with different types and stuff from your graveyard to be able to get it back. So you just get an extra 2800 beat stick to help close out games if you need to. Of course, we got to play the Zeus, because with the Chariot Carry, you can, if there's the correct board state, you can just make a Chariot Carry first thing, get your searches for your Gold Pride stuff, swing into something that's like in defense or that's small enough, then turn it into a Zeus, clear their board, and continue playing. So there is definitely situations where that does come up. Of course, I mentioned already the Lambda for if you have a Gamma in hand that you weren't able to use, you could use it on your opponent's turn that way. And then Rising Carp is like your biggest choke point, I would say, for P.U.N.K. But once again, if you have the Gamma at that point and they try to ash this tributes for cost, so you can still Gamma there too. So that's kind of my rough theory on the deck. The side deck, not really much to talk about. Once again, this is like totally up in the air. I know this isn't like really great, this format. The only thing that I would argue that like definitely needs to stay is the evenly matched. But for the rest of these, they just kind of like either force interactions or clears the way for me to be able to break the board. Like... Like, for example, if I'm going second and I open Lightning Storm evenly, if my opponent only sets up like 1 Omni Negate, then I can attempt to Lightning Storm, bait it out, go battle phase, and evenly match, which is really nice. If you're facing Super Heavy Samurai, of course, Dark Ruler just like deals with that whole thing. If you draw Dark Ruler and then either one of these other 2, you just kind of have game right there, because then you can just go off with your plays. Triple Tactic, sometimes I like deciding going first if I'm playing against a deck that's like very hand trap heavy, just so I know that I have a little bit of protection against it, or if I get drolled, I can at least like rip a card out of their hand in retaliation. So that's just kind of nice for that. It's also really good going second too, because once again, it just trades for more interaction. If you get negated on something, you just throw out a triple tack, try to like take one of their monsters or draw 2 cards to dig for more gas. And it just kind of forces more interactions out of them because of how strong of a card it is if it resolves. So it kind of frees up the way for more of your combo if you open multiple pieces. Kind of same thing with the Fenrir. The nice thing is that he doesn't search on summon. It's just during your main phase. So if you need to, you can just special summon this, walk into something, and then main phase 2, go search another copy. And he's also a level 7, so it makes it really easy for the deck to make Barone. I was trying to main deck this, but I just felt like I'd rather have the other options in there to insulate myself. And then once I know what I'm going into, and if I'm going first or second, I can side this in accordingly and just, once again, have more interaction points with the deck. So that is going to do it, lads, for my Gold Pride Punk profile today. I hope you enjoy this. If you guys have any thoughts or notes down in the comments, feel free to let me know. I always love interacting with you guys and getting the discussion going. Always a good time. And if you guys want to see me play this deck live, you can join our streams. I'm usually streaming Monday mornings. That'll probably change here before too long, but at least for right now, that's how it's going to be. So just make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you know when we do go live so you can see this stuff, and as well when we upload more deck profiles, combo tutorials, news videos, and occasionally market watches. That's all I got for you lads today. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll catch you all next time. Good fun. Have luck.